I just realized one thing before I even start here is that by having Asgore's model, it's great because it allows him to be at the end, but there is a possibility for me to go even further and animate stuff that fans have never seen before. And as a result, I may need Asgore with his shirt on instead of his armor as well. I'm already cheeky enough as it is with asking for these models from other people, but hopefully that won't be such an issue when I start showing you how this is going together. Anyway, on with the video. Hello everyone, so welcome to my mini-series of videos. The reason for this is due to me gathering 3D assets from all over the Undertale community. Some are obviously worried about me using them for not the intended purposes. So, to give them a little bit of peace of mind and security, I'll be documenting every step of development for this section specifically of the animation that I'm doing, just to give them, a little bit of reassurance and a little bit of peace of mind. So, let's get on with the video. What I'm going to be doing at this point is skipping ahead in the animation a little bit. I'm currently up to Snowdin, if you're going through an order, but what we're going to be doing is skipping all the way to almost the end of the game where the Truelab is located. It's basically at the end of a true pacifist run of the game. For those who aren't familiar with the language or the game in general, basically it's a playthrough of the game where nobody dies because you're nice to them. It has strong connections to quite a few of the main cast, and is also home to the amalgamates, that are basically combinations of monsters that have melted together in some horrible experiments that have gone wrong. The whole place gives off this creepy, almost horror game style vibe, and that's what I'm going to try and recreate, but in 3D as an animation. So, on to the planning phase. Normally I make these just as very bare bones basic plans, just to keep track of each section so I know which points to hit. So, we're going to be exploring the lab, have a pretty dark atmosphere that's foreboding with few lights, or broken ones. We're going to focus on key parts of the story, things like running away from the amalgamates, finding the determination extractor, watching the VHS tapes from the Dreamer family, and including Alphys in her entries. I need to have the following character models for this part of the animation: Alphys, Asgore, Toriel, Kara, Asriel, Endogeny, Reaper Bird, Lemon Bread, and Frisk. Today, I've been assembling some assets to get the main parts of the Truelab done, mainly to make this a little bit easier on myself so it's less of an uphill battle. Despite me already having assets for the Truelab, I'm going to have to, like the lab above, remake most of them from scratch, because the ones that I have, to be honest, aren't currently that accurate. I started with some assets that I've been gifted for use only for the animation by Floral Pikmin 99. They do some awesome content for VR chat as part of the Undernet hub, and also do commission work, so if you ever want something modelled, maybe consider commissioning them. The assets I've been gifted include an updated Asgore model, because the older one really can't compare to this one, and the amalgamates Reaper Bird, Lemon Bread, and Endogeny. I set about experimenting with them and seeing if I could encounter any problems with just some of the smaller tests, and so far so good, as I can see at least. Each is already rigged and textured, leaving me just minor material work, and I've whipped up some very primitive test renders. After that, it's full speed ahead. Time to get the hardest part done first, the determination extraction machine. This giant skull-looking thing just hangs in one part of the level. So, first off, I decided to get some reference from the start. I head on over to the good old model resource website and look for some skulls, and sure enough I find a good one. Coincidentally, it's the alluring skull from Dark Souls. I slap that in Blender and begin to use it as a template to work my own from. I work on it a little bit until I get something that, well, it's not good and it looks too human. Time to go back to the drawing board. This time, I edit stuff a little. I tilt the eyes, move them back, attach some cones at the bottom to make up a mouth part and then subdivide it and sculpt it into shape. I spent a little bit of time messing around trying to get a good old render of it, while doing some of the pipe work with some textures I got from Sonic Generations that I had made normal maps for. Then I grabbed some bone textures from Google, and after about 30 minutes I was left with this. I'm happy with the result personally. On to some more asset sourcing, something that I've done a lot before and can take a lot of time. I downloaded some MMD assets for the elevator, a hospital stage, and a stretcher bed. All of the original creators have been credited, along with the rest of the people I've used assets from so far. This list is getting really long. The credits themselves are basically 6 pages of Google documents at this point. After sourcing these assets, I went back to building things. Next on my list is the generator that sits at the end of the lab. This one's a little hard due to everybody's interpretation being different. Does it house a soul? Doesn't it? It's important to the lore, goddammit! Toby, please tell us, is this a soul or is it just a design choice? I eventually went with the design choice and decided to get it as close as I could to the sprite work. Obviously, with my own spin or interpretation on the details. So now I'm at the point of basically slapping the textures on this thing, throwing all the assets in the same blend file, and then recreating the floor plan. And potentially some texture editing, and then away we go. I'll be mapping out the entire area on stream, so it's most likely that the next part you'll see will feature a more developed Truelab with some assets scattered around the floor space. Until then, I hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!